Her Excellency Dr. Speciosa Wandira is a former Vice President of Uganda, but more importantly to us tonight, she will speak to us as a champion for an HIV-free generation who believes we should not lose sight of these gender issues. She will talk about the importance of voluntary medical male circumcision for women.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, HIV AIDS activists. I have 10 minutes. And to me, as a woman, a surgeon, a politician, and a mother of both boys and girls, I have actually seen that women, as the custodians of culture, especially Kagwa, deep in the village, where there is no social networking, the women are going to play a big role in persuading the way we have anthropologically been conditioned to persuade both boys and girls to take on the practice of circumcision so that we are able to mitigate the risk of HIV/AIDS among the majority of the population, both men and women. And I say this because sometimes, like Emmanuel said earlier, randomized trials are very good. But then the human being is not a random being. And I got into this after leaving the clinical side to become a social scientist here in the United States, that actually the medical, clinical profession deals so much with these clinical issues, and they don't look beyond that, to the extent that because most women are randomized and put in groups and thought to think the same way, even the interventions sometimes are left to sit on the shelf a long time to enable the scientists to come and randomize. Now, women are actually very good researchers. They are observing all the time. And I must say that in Africa, a lot of our tradition and culture has resulted from observational research. And that's how we've come up to survive, despite a hostile environment in desert, in the forest. And I believe that right now, this added advantage of randomized trials is going to push us to greater horizons, because with the scientific evidence, we are able to tell the women that this epidemic is no longer yours alone, and you are not going to lift it alone. And we are going to tell the men that this scientific evidence has proven that this intervention is for both of us. Now, the weakness, as I said earlier, is in the communication, because all this evidence is in a language which is foreign to the part of the world which has been ravaged by HIV/AIDS. And in this part of the world, we have many languages. So this challenge of getting Miriam Were from Kenya, a Luya, to speak to a Luo, I know there is some linkages, to speak to a Muganda, to speak to a Xhosa in South Africa. This communication, even when women are talking about HIV/AIDS, is one of the limiting factors that is going to enable women communicate better among themselves and across the sex divide. But I must say that women are very innovative. And when I was in politics, I used to tell my male colleagues that you people, you are joking. I compete with you, I'll beat you, and I always beat them flat. Because we know how to persuade using language. And for me, this intervention targeting men And the Ugandans here know I've been called vulgar in my country. And that I love sex, who doesn't? And that's why I'm always talking about sex in relation to HIV. I'm a Roman Catholic, and I was told I would be excommunicated by the Pope. And I said the Pope vowed not to come near the use of his organ. I'm very sorry I'm saying this because this disease comes very close to all of us. So we really have to say that for the first time as women, issues of reproductive health are no longer going to be about reproduction. They are going to be about the two organs that make life happiness. Because for many of us, really reproduction is really a small window in our lives. And for the first time, a woman is going to be allowed to learn, what is that male thing? What does it look like? Because before she becomes an advocate for circumcision, she has to know what she's talking about. And as a surgeon, I want to tell you through observational research, because when I finished my master's in surgery, general surgery in Makerere Medical School, I worked in the urology clinic, and I was able to handle all those organs of you men in trousers. And I know what it is, because sometimes, they say, is a condom necessary? The prepuce is of different thickness, of different length, of different texture in different men. Just like when we were talking about condoms, when they brought the tiny condoms from China for the male organ in Africa, it couldn't fit. So, for the first time, this fight against HIV/AIDS is going to go down to the area which none of us learns about in the medical school. Sex. Sex. How is it done? What happens when it's being done? And this is the taboo in Africa. And it's a wonderful window for us as women to be able to learn about our sexuality and that organ, the male organ, and how the two will be linked, the circumcision and also the act that injects those sperms and the fluids that go with it, so that we are able to mitigate. Now, it is a way of bridging that missing link for men to be part of the health system. Because we can sit here talking about HIV. Right now, I'm in my country, Uganda, working with the planners to look at the health system of my country. And I want to tell you that we come from here very excited. And this morning, Madam Clinton, Secretary Clinton talked and we all clapped and clapped. But our health systems, if they are not understood by us, who work within them, and link up all the synergistic elements that make up the health system, we shall come here, year after year, and with all the money pouring in, but we shall not be able to achieve. So for me, I want to say that engaging men and women in this subject which is not talked about, and the fact that in Africa, it's mainly the heterosexual, but also talking about other sexual orientations, will be able to get women better understand how to move on with this problem. Now, one of the challenges in the short term is to get the women to tell the husband circumcise. But I want to tell you that when I was a surgeon, every man I told you to circumcise actually circumcised. So all of the women who are supporting women in the maternal clinics talk to these women and explain to them why they should circumcise. So the agency, who is that agent whom we are going to use to do that? Is it the mother? Is it the brother? Is it the sister? I think it's all of us. And I believe that at the end of the day, with all the resources that have been promised to pour in, the woman is indeed still there to play her role as a custodian of culture, as the recipient of the traditions and practices that make the propagation of the human race possible. I thank you very much.
And if Mrs. Hendrica Okondo could join her at the podium. She's with the YWCA's global program on sexual and reproductive health resources. I believe that's what that R stands for, but anyway, okay. All right, and if you've got questions for how women fit into this discussion, please come to the mic very quickly. There, we have someone there. Question?
Hi, good night. I just want to say I support you 100%. As a woman, I believe in circumcision and influencing men. My take was even before HIV suggested that circumcision would be of a help and a prevention, I felt from a religious background too, that men should be circumcised, and therefore I decided I would not be having sex with any man who's uncircumcised. That was my stand. But my question to you, as a mother, I felt the same way about my children. So when my son was a few weeks old, I made sure he was circumcised. And I am wondering, I'm kind of getting as he went through teenage that he thought that by being circumcised, his penis was made smaller as he grew. All right, so I'm wondering if, we should insist or we should allow them to be older to make the decision for themselves if they want to be circumcised or not. Or if, as a surgeon, you think that that could be a result, or if it's just an internet gimmick, because some children just, go on the internet and they feel that they should be enhanced. So that's my question.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right. Would you? I think that's good.
Like I told you in Uganda, I call a spade a spade. The size of a man's penis doesn't matter. It is what is behind it. And people have to know this. Yes. And I think as we go on talking, making sex something which is beautiful, and we talk about it, and we don't vulgarize it, because I want to tell you as a physician and as a surgeon, many women do not enjoy sex because they are hiding, they don't know how to be, people are not talking about it the right way, and they make it appear as if it is a sin. So the men also go hiding with their things between their legs, and at the end of it, I don't know whether there is a study which has been done on the average size of penises for you to get that question properly. We haven't done that, but we'll be able to do that in the future.
This is Okondo. Women, even before this, have had difficulty getting men to use condoms and to negotiate condom use. Is this going to make it more difficult? I can imagine a man saying, well, I've been circumcised, and so, that's reduced the risk.
Yeah, at the YWCA, we're working in 8 African countries. And in Kenya and Zambia, when we looked at the demographic health survey, we found that the uptake of use of condom was very low. Despite all the advertising, despite all the work that we've put in Kenya it was only 30%, in Zambia it was 16%. And we realized that the rate of infection among the young girls, and we work with young girls between 15 and 24, was 8 times the rate of infection among the young men. So we actually had to start talking to both the girls and the men. And as Her Excellency says, sexuality in Africa is a taboo. But from a faith-based perspective, we started to say it's a gift from God. It's not a taboo, it's not dangerous. Tell us what you're doing. And these children shocked us. We created a safe space. And in Zambia, it's working really well, Your Excellency. We have safe spaces in Zambia. And the girls told us they were having multiple partners at age 15. They had been socialized by traditional initiators to start having sex at age 9, which their parents didn't know. So we realized that we needed the young boys also. And that's how we got into medical circumcision. So in Zambia, we actually have the male circumcision unit in our YWCA office. In Kenya, we do referrals. So really, we need to talk to our children. They really know more than we do. I was sitting with my daughter today in our exhibition point, and people were coming in there and they were asking for dental something that I didn't know. And she's 19. She says, don't you know that? Everybody uses it. And I'm like, you use it? So you need to, you know, and then she says to me, oh, well, how would you like to have sex? I said, I'm a missionary. I do not want to have adventures. So these are the challenges. We need to talk to our children, and we need the medical circumcision, because the statistics tell us we need it.
Okay, hold on. We have one more question from the gentleman there.
Thank you. My name is Inon, and I'm coming from Jerusalem. I would like to congratulate you. I do think that the spouses of men are extremely important in trying to talk about medical male circumcision, and also to our adolescents. But maybe we can be reminded, and our experience both in Swaziland and in South Africa had shown us, that the issue of women's ability to take decisions on their children is quite another element in the utilization of medical male circumcision as an intervention. I of course refer to neonatal circumcision. So if one can add a point for the discussion, and perhaps also for the encouragement of women to be more involved, is also to teach their husbands why it is very important that both mothers and fathers will agree that neonate circumcision is perhaps cheaper, easier, faster. And you're welcome to visit our booth at the Global Village to learn more. Thank you.
Would either of you like to take that on? I understand that, you know, there's been some flexibility allowed for each country and how they choose to deal with this, the question of voluntary medical male circumcision, whether waiting until the child is of a certain age before.
No, I think that at the end of the day, it's how a country will be able to have dialogue with the population as to what it should do. And then we have seen countries make negative laws with respect to HIV/AIDS. And I think as a mother, I would really advocate for a country coming up with guidelines and practices that promote and support circumcision of males from a very early age, and to put in place the machinery and across the country as one of the priority areas for doing it. And as a surgeon, I want to tell you that it's not only for HIV/AIDS, it's also for these other issues which cause cancer of the cervix in women. There are so many fronts that we can use to tackle this. And then when there are diseases that cause epidemics, science and even common sense teaches us that you may not have the choice to say, yes, I'm going to do it. But with modern democracy and whatever, people are doing it. I think this is one of the areas where countries should examine whether medical circumcision should be prescribed for all young people, so that at the end of the day, we are able to move forward. Because this is a killer. It's not something you will say it's mine and personal to hold. It's for the health of the whole population.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.